I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we are speaking with Kiana Lashayia, the talented author behind the inspiring and soul-stirring book called Soul Inspirations, A Journey for the Divine. It explores the power of resilience and faith in overcoming life's challenges. Kiana's poetic masterpiece delves into 9 essential attributes: strength, perseverance, peace, hope, love, relationship, praise, patience, and prayer. They have all shaped her life, and now she is hoping to share and uplift your life and encourage readers as well. We're delighted to have her in the spotlight today. Thank the folks at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today, and ask viewers like you to follow writers like her by subscribing to our channel. Kiana, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. This book must have been a labor of love because so much of your heart and your soul are in this book.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. You captured that very, very well.
Thanks. Thanks. What inspired you to write it?
Honestly, it was one of those things that I realized I had been writing for so long because I started writing at 13. I
Mhm.
just turned 32 last month. So I have been writing for so long, and it got to the point where people would tell me like, you should publish, or you should copyright something.
Mhm.
I never was one of those girls who sent, my poems off and things like that and did competitions. I just kept it for myself. And what ultimately inspired me to do that was realizing like I had so much material that was worth publishing. So I put my hands to the plow and just did what it took to make it happen.
Wonderful, wonderful. And a lot of your writings are faith driven, right?
They are.
Tell us about that a little bit.
I I grew up in a church. I'm a church girl.
Mhm.
Um, that's in the Midwest, Kansas City, and Nebraska. That is very simple living.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is school and church.
Right.
So I flourished in the church. I did praise dancing. I did singing in a choir. I did everything. I was an usher. I just was always involved. And from there, my personal relationship with God grew outside of, what I was brought up to do in a family home, which is, serve God, worship God, praise God, be obedient, do what, you're supposed to do in the world. And with the book, it was a part of that. We're told what we're given is a gift. People started telling me your poetry is a gift. It's a calling or whatever they might, label it to be, with a sound advice to keep going.
Mhm.
And so I took that as, now, all right, from the next stage, it started feeling like ministry,
Mhm.
because it went from me venting my heart out and trying to be positive, because that's what every poem in the book I wanted it to do. I said, if anybody's going through something, I wanted them to be able to read something positive every day.
Yeah.
And I said, the only thing that I know positive every day is God.
Mhm. Yes.
That is the number one thing that I know is not going to let me down, not going to change. Might disappoint me, which is the first section in my book,
Mhm.
disappointment, because every human knows what it feels like, no matter, what you're doing right, no matter what efforts you're trying to accomplish something kind of feels like disappointment. But it was a lot of my spiritual growth and personal time that started allowing me to know how to curate it and make it worth something. um so
Yeah.
a lot of my spiritual beliefs is outside of being raised, but it's like the book say, it's my journey. Nobody told me how this Christian life was going to look for me. Nobody told me what a spiritual life of growth and development and forgiveness, healing, all the things that I talk about, my peace, how I love, all of it started with, biblical principle, which is why I even started my book off with Psalms 112. It's just in me. I was told to put God first in everything I do. And I said, why not dedicate my first book to the one who gave me the gift?
Mm. Well, having a gift of faith is a great gift to have because the journey of life is not an easy one. It's not necessarily straightforward. There are dips in the hill, there are bridges that are out, there are challenges that we must overcome. But if you have the faith in God, if you have the faith in Jesus, you are able to deal with those storms that come your way a lot better, don't you think?
I agree 100% with that.
Yeah,
And a lot of that is what, like you said, things that you were just saying, how we're talking, is that it was built and instilled in me at an early age.
yeah.
And a lot of it just poured out into the book and into my poems, because one thing about my poetry and my style is, I can write fiction and things like that, but I write stuff that I tell people, I want you to feel me. I don't have anything to give on an imagination level when there's so much truth to be told.
Mm,
I Everything that I wrote is from my point of view. It's, but it was from my point of view to be a light for someone else, which a lot of us are all capable of doing. And I use a lot, instead of saying all, because all of us don't pursue it.
yeah. Absolutely. Is there a poem in your book or a passage in your book that you particularly love or like? Maybe it was the first one you ever wrote, or one that really helps you when you're in trouble or need a little guidance?
I have a few.
Okay.
I do. I have a few. I had did an actual audio album for
Mhm.
the book where I called it my author essentials, and I chose 27 of my favorite ones out of
Mm.
the book, and I recorded them myself. I put them on iTunes, Spotify. They all able to be streamed on YouTube and everything. But I out of 112, I chose 27. And I know one of them is pain. Another one is the first poem, regardless of pain, because we're all going to experience it. And then I have another one, hope and dreams. I have another poem called transparent beauty.
Mm.
So it's a couple.
Yeah, well, that's good. You should enjoy your own writing. I think if you
Yeah,
expect other people to enjoy it, you've got
yeah,
to enjoy it too. Because, like I said right at the beginning of this interview, your work is a labor of love because you can see so much of your heart and your soul that has been poured into it. And that's a great thing. Now, these poems and these writings have been collected over a large portion of your life, correct?
the ones from the book haven't. Those
Okay.
actually were poems that I had written in about, they were my last years in college. So
Okay.
I really was depressed.
Hmm.
I went through a lot of stuff, and it's hard being a first generation student. No one told you what to do, how to survive the educational system on a higher learning. So I struggle with that in ways. One minute I'm on the honor roll, the next minute I'm threatened to be evicted.
Exactly.
It was the toss up a lot
Yeah,
that
well, I was the same way. I got A's and I got F's. So I was a C student because the A's and the F's equal to C. So what can you do?
hey, it balanced out. It
Exactly.
balanced
It
out.
happens to the best of us.
It does. And that was what, my poems started helping me with, because they became like mini assignments for myself, that
Mhm.
I started conditioning myself to say, poetry is what you love, but at the same time, use it to free yourself. Like,
Yeah,
so I would vent out poems that I wanted to hear told to me. I
that's,
did. When I was
that's
just
great.
going through stuff, I told myself the stuff I wanted to hear. It was a lot of my poems from my spirit speaking to my flesh.
Yeah,
It was, I want you to survive this. You can survive this. This is just a transitioning point. This is just, and I have poems titled like that throughout the book,
yeah.
and it was and from that, I started realizing, because it wasn't only, just in my phone or my notepad that I would just spit these little poems. So I started, posting them on my Facebook and on my
Mhm.
Instagram and things like that. And people would just start responding to it. They would inbox me, or I needed to hear that, or you're not posting none no more, or, and
Yeah.
it just got to that point where I was like, dang, it's a job now.
Exactly.
But that's where I say earlier, it started feeling like ministry, because not my helping myself was helping somebody else.
Yeah. What do you hope readers get from your book?
That God is real and that he cares about you.
Mm.
Above all, God is real and he cares about you. He has a plan for you. Your situation is not the only thing you should struggle on. And I know I didn't just choose a specific demographic, because to me, I wrote it as if, like we established that it's faith based, but there are some people who don't believe,
Yeah.
but you would like my poetry. You would
Sure.
like me. You would, you know what I mean?
I
And
think most people believe in some source
yeah,
of power, whether
yes,
it's Jesus, whether it's God, whether it's Muhammad, whatever it is, they
right.
believe there's some spiritual aspects in this world. And I think your book touches upon those as well. And it's hard sometimes to keep the faith for people when they're going through difficult times. They sometimes blame God. They lash out at God. How can a kind God let this happen? They
Yeah,
lose a child. They lose a parent at an untimely age. So there are lots of challenges that we face in life, So you've
really.
really helped craft a good roadmap for people to stay on the straight and narrow and realize that we're not always understanding of God's plan or what God has in store for us, right?
That is so true. And the fact that you had even threw in loss, and that's a section in my book, because our family experienced a devastating loss right before I published. Like, I had finished the book, but I didn't publish it yet. And I had realized that almost in literally just 3 years, that I pretty much experienced everything all over again that I originally wrote about. And I thought it would be over, and I started realizing that seasons matter.
Yeah.
Seasons in life matter. And what you, in this area of life, to call myself an author and write, it's almost as if my living after writing a book just certified it.
Yeah.
Like, I know what I'm talking about.
Right, exactly.
I know what this life is like. And I like that you said that it's a roadmap, because I wanted it to be known that it's nothing final. This
Yeah,
is the journey. These
exactly.
are things that keep recycling.
Mhm.
Disappointment keeps coming. Loss keeps coming. You're gonna have to keep forgiving. These are ongoing things. And it's just like, when they happen, you don't want to just always retreat back, but be able to eventually stand up to it and know that it can't last always, or that what you defeat on this level, you don't always have to respond the same on the next level, because you are gaining your strength. And that's a chapter in my book, is it takes strength and perseverance to counter disappointment. Those were two things I put together. Even with the formatting of my book, I have a child care background. So we had a saying that if a child is doing something, you don't go tell that parent at the end of the day your child did XYZ and bombard them with what's wrong. You
Right.
tell them these positives for everything that you could have did wrong. For every one issue I could think of that we as humans face, I found two things that I know we operate in that can counter it. And like I said, with disappointment, you got to be strong and you have to persevere,
Uh,
because disappointment is not a stopping block.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's all well said. It is well written as well. The name of the book is Soul Inspirations, A Journey for the Divine. It is written by Kiana Lashayia. It is a wonderful book. It is a spiritual roadmap, as we mentioned. It will help you strengthen the attributes that you need in life: perseverance, peace, hope, love, strong relationships, praise to God, patience, and prayer. Kiana, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight. Pleasure is all mine. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.